Oh, I was just reading the meter. Hi, this is Everyday Prepper. Welcome to the channel. Right, so in this video I wanted to give an update on the markets and also discuss a little bit about cost of living and a couple of other things that are going on around the world. First of all, regards to the cost of living, I came across an article the other day about the rise in energy theft, which is what I've mentioned in the title. Apparently there's been a 50% rise in energy theft. Energy theft is where people tamper with an electricity or a gas meter to bypass it completely, so it doesn't record properly how much energy they've used. Now, I get why people would do this because energy bills are a major part of your, certainly part of my outgoings anyway. However, apparently 260 odd people a year are injured, seriously injured by doing this. There was even, they say individuals are doing this, but also companies are doing it. There was a landlord who was fined 90 grand. He was only jailed for 9 months, but he tampered with meters in 22 of his properties in London, and then advertised giving out free energy to all of his tenants, which would be wonderful if you're a tenant, but also a bit risky if you're living there. But it just goes to show the lengths that people will go to save money. So if you want free energy, the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to set yourself up a solar power system with battery storage. In the UK it's legal, it's safe, it's fairly easy and fairly cheap to do, and you can also expand it as your needs or demands increase. If you want to know how to do this, please check out my previous videos. I'll put a link up here on setting up a solar power system, and you can expand it, as I say. I'm going to be doing some more before the summer's out, although it doesn't matter, you can still run them in the winter. But I'm going to be doing some more videos on how my setups compare to these kind of all-in-one things that you can buy on the market. So look out for those videos. So as I say, it's very, very easy to set up. You can expand it as you need it, and it's a lot safer and probably a lot easier than mucking around with your energy meters at home. I certainly wouldn't do it. I'm pretty DIY and pretty hands-on myself, but I wouldn't muck around doing that. So another point on cost of living, I was out driving yesterday. I noticed that the fuel prices at my petrol station, we've only got 2 main petrol stations where I live, but the price has gone down by 1p. Now, it's not a significant drop, but it is a drop, and I'm wondering where that's going. Now, are they going to drop it again? Because quite often they don't drop it all in one go, do they? They don't drop it by 10p per litre. They'll drop it by a penny or 2p, and then they'll drop it by another penny or 2p, maybe a week later or a few days later. So I don't know if that's the start of a trend. I will comment on it later if I see any in further videos. If I see any kind of trend appearing there, I'll cover it briefly when I go through the markets as well. But yeah, it was quite interesting seeing it drop. It's been steady for quite some weeks now, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but we'll look out and see whether that's. But it's only good seeing it go down. Obviously, that's the main thing. Following on from that, then we're just going to have a look at the markets, and I did promise to do an update. It'll probably be one of the last ones I do, really, unless anything major happens in the markets. But I thought, just out of interest, because I know that a lot of you are interested in investing as well, and as a prepper, personally, I have investments in various things, and I do have to keep an eye on it because it's kind of my nest egg, really. So at the end of the day, so we're looking at it is Saturday, so the markets are all closed at the moment, apart from some of the I think even the what do you call it, foreign exchange currencies are closed actually over the weekend. But anyway, so let's go into the US 500, which is the top 500 tech companies in the US. So we looked at this chart the other day. We saw a big drop and for a few days, and then we saw a retracement, as I explained in my last video, where we get what looks like a 50% retracement. Now, my understanding is that the markets have been buoyed back up, and that's because on Thursday there was some more data. So basically what happened is last Friday not Friday just gone, but the previous Friday, there was something called the non-farm payrolls, which is all about employment in the US. The data was released, and that's usually released on the first Friday in the month. And that caused a lot of uncertainty in the markets because it was all to do with the possibility of a recession. On Thursday last week, the US jobs market gave another update, and it was much more positive than they were expecting. So that kept the markets a bit more buoyed, and also the prospect of a rate cut in the US, interest rate cut, is also keeping markets slightly more positive. So so that's the US 500. You can see the drop there, but the overall trend, when we go on here, you can see that this is like every one of these bars is now 1 month, and the overall trend is kind of up. It never goes in a straight line. It always goes up and down and fluctuates up and down, but the overall trend, as you can see there have been drops. For instance, down this sort of neck of the woods, there's a drop there was a drop over here, and then there's a drop that we've just seen there as well. So but overall you've got a trend going up, so it's just kind of a blip in the system. It's just a natural fluctuation. If you're looking at charts, so if you're a technical analyst and you're looking at charts alone, you wouldn't be too fazed by this, because it's just a dip, and you'll see that the overall trend is going up. But of course, if you're a fundamental trader, which most people are a mix of the two, you will also see that news does affect things going forward as well. But generally, a long-term trend will be more powerful than any interim news. That's my experience. By the way, if you wanted to invest, or if you are investing any kind of sizable amount in the stock market, I'd strongly recommend the book or audio book, which I've got, by Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker. There's a book called Money, Master the Game, and it's really in-depth. It's a shame, because a lot of people would have probably got spooked by this recent drop in the stock markets and sold out their investments when the prices were low, only to see them bounce back up again. And and I get that, 'cause I've done it myself, and it's easy to get spooked. But as I say, that book really did help me, or the audio book certainly helped me understand how and when to invest in the stock market, or even when not to. So I'll stick a link in the description. But it was a very powerful book, and goes into a real detail about how to invest in the stock market. So we'll just cover some others. Let's get this onto daily. Let's have a look at the FTSE UK top 100 companies, and again we've seen a bounce back, about halfway actually, about 50%, as I said in my last video. But on the bottom chart, if you can now see, the last few days you've seen a lot more green there. Not quite as high as that selling point, which was, I'll try and get on here. That spike down in the bottom there of the red is a lot of sellers going to the market. So that was where people were getting spooked. If you see, so a couple of days before, people started selling off, and then a load of people saw that and then sold off. And that's where investors, maybe inexperienced investors, or just investors that are too worried about their investments completely bombing out, thinking, oh my God, is this the complete crash? And they've all come in and just sold their investments. It's a real shame, because they've sold at a really low price, and now the market's bounced back up again, where all the buyers have come in, picked up really cheap shares and index prices, and then they've managed to gain a sizable profit, I would assume. So that's the FTSE. But then again, if you look at the, it looks fairly flat there. But if you look at and it's sideways moves, and then it's gone up, and it's all over the place. But let's have a look at the bigger picture, and then we look at that over the months. Got a trend there, fairly steady trend, just steadying up right the way from 5,000 back here, back down at this sort of timeline, and then heading up to 9,000 where it's at now. So general trend of going up. So if you hold in, it would have been all right, That's not advice. None of this constitutes investment advice, of course. This is my opinion. And I tend to err on the side of technical analysis by just looking at charts. And a previous chart is not necessarily what the future will do, but sometimes you can gain some insights as to what it might do. So that's that. Now, I found something else interesting as well. Just talking about energy, was the talked about the price of fuel going down. So I'm on the wrong market here. Brent crude. So Brent crude is a kind of a global indicator of what oil prices are doing. And we'd had a much more steady decline in the price there, and then it picked up, did a bit of a retracement, which seems to have slowed down somewhat. Let's have a look at the bigger picture. So oil prices have been steadying on. That's why you've not seen petrol pump prices change recently. They might have fluctuated a little bit when garages decided to take a little bit of profit or concede a little bit of profit, either way. But petrol prices have been fairly steady. But I was interested the other day to see the price at the pump at my local garage go down by 1p, which usually means that they're going to do it a bit more. So could there be a drop in price? I don't know. It's all a bit weird with the oil prices, and a lot of commentators around this subject are confused as well, because usually when you're gearing up for war, which is what it looks like globally, especially with what's going on in the Middle East, and the Middle East also being massive oil producers, prices tend to head up. So yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that. I don't really know enough about the commodities really there to comment any further. But what I did find also interesting was we had the banking shares all doing the same sort of thing. What else do we want to look at was the Lockheed Martin. So Lockheed Martin, as I said before, I think in my first of the 3 videos about the markets, we've got a bit of fluctuation here over the last few days. But when you go onto the long-term picture, look at this. Let's go on to weekly, right? So that each bar here is 1 week. And then around here, you've just seen an absolute massive spike. So that can only really tell you one thing. Their contracts have just gone up in the last 3 weeks. So that looks like it's kind of gearing up for something, I would say. Unless a massive amount of people have got, or a huge organisation has got inside knowledge and just bought. Or just bought in, which is it's just all a bit weird. But you got that one, and then what was the other company? It was Northrop Grumman. Again, not so much. Their share prices kind of fluctuated, but Lockheed Martin are one of the biggest, if not the biggest. Their share prices, the trend was kind of sideways, and then it's just gone absolutely mental. So there you go. So it's just a bit of an update. As I say, it's Saturday, so there's no movement in the charts. Things might change again on Monday when the markets open. But that was just just kind of a brief overview to follow on from the last couple of videos. So that's the markets. Hope you found that useful. As I said, before, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an investment guru or anything like that at all. If I was, I probably wouldn't be making YouTube videos, although I don't make any money from this, so I probably would actually, because it's fun. And so don't take anything I've said as investment advice, but do check out the Tony Robbins book. I found that immensely useful in my investments. So as you can see, there is fluctuation in the markets. There's certainly something going on with that Lockheed Martin share price. And when you look around the world as well, what's happening with Ukraine now incursion into Russia, which is very interesting. They're not giving a lot of information out about it. And the news commentary is very interesting because it's saying very similar to some recent reports. They're saying, we're not sure about the motivation behind this, and we're not sure about why they're doing this or what their plan is, which is very interesting when you have some awful news that we've had recently in the UK, and their first report is to say we're not sure of the motivation. We really don't know. Somebody knows somewhere, don't they? Always. So yeah, very interesting times as well. I'm going to be talking a little bit later with Mike on UK Urban Prepper channel. We're going to be having a chat. Obviously, we've got to be careful what we chat about nowadays. The commentary over in the US is that we're a bit of a laughing stock because we've become so draconian that you can actually, there's no free speech in the UK. So yeah, bit of a concern there, but that's another video altogether. But yeah, things are still escalating around the world. I'm aware of that. There's loads of stuff that I can't cover on one video, so one thing at a time. So we've covered the markets today, a little bit about cost of living, and get your solar power set up. And again, I was going to say don't wait till the summer's over. You don't need to wait till the summer's over, but it doesn't matter when you do it. I've run mine throughout winter, and it's been very, very useful. Powering various things around my house in summer or winter, it really doesn't matter as long as you've got the right setup, using the right charge controllers and the right panels, etc. But again, my videos cover that in a lot more depth, and I'll be doing some further videos going forward. So anyway, that's a brief catch up, and thanks for watching. In the meantime, stay prepared.